welcome to this very special Christmas chat with a very dear friend. I was telling him that, on Christmas Day, when I see the gray stubbles, this is not the Gautam Gambhir I know. For me, he's still this young brother of mine who I've seen grow, become the world champion that I know, playing that 97, 75, whatever he's done. I mean, tremendous achievements. So the young man who became a star and now making a difference to society with his work as a politician as well. So Gautam Gambhir, many congratulations for doing what you are. As I wrote to you yesterday, makes a difference to me and something that I deeply admire. And obviously, Merry Christmas to you and the family. Hopefully this starts a better world. Thank you for speaking to me.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is mine, and thank you for all your great work. I don't think so. I deserve so much of appreciation.
No, you do. Achha, straight away, Gautam. If one thing you have taught us through your cricket, and I'll focus on that, is the fight. After the 36, all of us have said at a certain point, initially all of us were emotional, and then all of us said, no, this is an aberration, etc., etc. But tomorrow, when Boxing Day starts, we will need that fight. Your first words, how do you overcome such a performance mentally? How do you deal with it more when your captain has come back and Ajinkya has taken over?
See, look, first of all, you got to accept that there will be scars, and the more you start hiding behind it, obviously it's going to get even more tougher. You got to just face the fear. Yes, there will be fear tomorrow when you go onto the cricket field, but this is where character comes into play as well. That is where, and you've got a great opportunity as well to show the world that yes, it can happen to the best. It has happened to the best as well. It is not that India is the only side who got bundled out for 36. There are many more other sides who went on to become world champions. Australia is bundled out for a very low score. New Zealand has done that. South Africa, other teams have also done that. So it's not that you're the only one who've been bundled out for 36. So the important thing is you've got another opportunity, probably not another opportunity, but 3 more opportunities or probably 6 more opportunities to go out there and play for your country and make your country proud, because it's a great honor when you walk onto the cricket field representing your country. So bygones are bygones, but you got to see, again, you got to look at the positive side of it, that you did manage to dominate 2 days out of the 3. Yes, we can talk about it. Yes, there was embarrassment. Yes, there will be scars, no doubt about it. But then for 2 days, you played reasonably good cricket. Yes, you could have dominated even more. You could have batted better in the first innings. But then all those things, you got to... And one very positive thing which we need to realize is that India's got the bowling attack to get Australia out 2 times, which was never the case probably with the previous teams. Yeah, there were very good captains earlier as well, but unfortunately we didn't have that kind of a bowling attack which could take 20 wickets, and that's why we struggled probably most of the time overseas. But when you have people like Jasprit Bumrah, Ravichandran Ashwin, now Umesh Yadav is back. He's bowled reasonably well in the first test match, and a youngster, probably Navdeep or Siraj, will come in. So you've got, when you have people like Jasprit Bumrah, Umesh and Ashwin, at least one side, one department of yours is pretty secure that you can actually get Australia 20 wickets of Australia. And it's all about now going out there tomorrow and believing in yourself. More importantly, watching the ball and be positive in your footwork. And the important thing is to react, to look to score runs.
Ajinkya Rahane as leader, how do you want to see him? Your thoughts or advice or suggestions for Ajinkya Rahane?
See, one thing is you don't change your personality overnight, and you don't need to change your personality. There are different captains, there are different personalities who've led their sides in a completely different way. And Ajinkya can't be Virat Kohli can't be MS Dhoni. And MS Dhoni could never be Saurav Ganguly. So all these guys have been successful captains. So be the way you are. And one change which I definitely would want to see is Ajinkya Rahane coming in batting at number 4. Because that is what will send a message that, yes, I'm leading from the front. It's not about showing your emotions on the field all the time, or reacting to every wicket, or reacting to every run you score, and all that kind of a stuff. You've got many other ways of being aggressive. Your body language can be aggressive. Your field placements could be aggressive. You could have probably ask your bowlers to bowl different lengths, attacking lengths. Your batting could be different. So there are so many other ways where you could lead from the front. When people say, oh, he wears his heart on his sleeve and all that stuff is crap. See, I could never expect someone like MS Dhoni to show so much of emotions. Dada was a little bit more emotional. Virat Kohli is a much more emotional guy. Anil Kumble was aggressive when he captained the side. Rahul Dravid was aggressive in his own way, could set fields. We could chase totals. We managed to chase 13 or 14, won 13 or 14 games chasing. So Ajinkya Rahane does not need to change anything. All he needs to do is probably tell people out there or his team out there that we're looking to win this game of cricket, and they've got an opportunity and they've got the team to win the test match in Australia, because Australia is very vulnerable, especially in the batting department.
Your thought on Shubman Gill, and from what you've seen as an opener, does he have it in him? And is he a long-term option? And do you want to see him as opener for India in this test match and going forward? So there will be a challenge when Rohit comes back for test match number 3. So thoughts on that? Shubman Gill clearly opening the batting.
That only time will tell whether he's got to be very successful as an opening batsman, but it's got to be a great opportunity making your debut on the Boxing Day in Australia. It can't get bigger than that. The stage is set. But again, I expect the team management not to pick him on hope, pick him on trust, because when you pick someone on trust, you end up giving him a longer opportunity or a longer run. But when you pick someone on hope, you're only expecting, I hope he does well. So when you pick Shubman Gill, I'm sure they must be thinking about and showing that trust in him as well. Even if Rohit Sharma comes back, they got to try and push him somewhere in the batting order. It will be very unfair on someone like Shubman Gill if he opens the batting, he gets to a 20 or a 30, and then suddenly Rohit Sharma comes in and he just finds himself out of the playing 11. That's not got to be fair on someone like Shubman Gill. So probably if you decide to pick Shubman Gill, pick him on trust and believe in him, and probably give him a longer run like how Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma and all those guys have got under MS Dhoni.
One time Riddhiman, one time Rishabh. What you just said about trust, I think the same applies for Rishabh Pant, that if you're giving him a go, give him a go for the rest of the series, maybe England, rather than again trying to go back to someone. Thoughts on that?
See, I never believed in this rotation thing that Riddhiman Saha is only good for Indian conditions because you need a wicket keeper, and then Rishabh Pant is probably better in overseas conditions because you need a batter at number 6 or a 7. That's not how good teams go into. You've got a settled wicket-keeper batsman. If he is good in Indian conditions, I'm sure he's got to be able to deliver in overseas conditions. Whether he's done that or not is irrelevant. You pick someone not just on conditions that yes, he's only going to play in subcontinent and the other guy's only going to play in overseas conditions, which is going to be unfair for both the wicket keepers and both the players. And it is unfortunate that Riddhiman Saha, he's only played one test match in Australia in this series, and he hasn't done well. But now he's going to get dropped. Imagine what happens to Rishabh Pant if he doesn't do well in the next test match or probably in the third test match. Then what do you do from there on? Do you bring back Riddhiman Saha, or probably the better way right now is to go with, yes, I did say that Rishabh Pant because of the batting they had, but then given an option, I would still go with Riddhiman Saha for one test match and see, because at least you've given someone 2 test matches. If he doesn't do well, then you've got 2 test matches where you can give Rishabh Pant the go. So for me, I think it's unfair on Riddhiman Saha, and actually it's been unfair on Riddhiman Saha and Rishabh Pant both over a long period of time when they've picked and choose players on conditions as well. You don't do with the wicketkeeper, you do that with the bowlers. Okay, you want to play 3 seamers in overseas conditions, you want to play 2 spinners in subcontinent, that's fine, looking at the conditions. But which other team in world cricket has chopped and changed wicket keepers depending on the conditions? No one apart from India. And that is why this team looks so unsettled, because no one is secure. You got to give people security. Professional sport is all about security. It's not about talent. Everyone has talent when they go on to represent the country. All you can do is probably provide them with security and that assurance that yes, we are there to back you, not by just words, but by actions.
How should India tackle Nathan Lyon? Because he's done extremely well over the years against India.
See, I remember when I went to, I don't like to talk too much about myself, but when I was making my comeback and when I went to Sri Lanka, when there was Murli and Mendes combo, one thing I actually learned, one thing my coach told me, never to commit yourself on the front foot. Just wait as long as you can when you're playing spin, so that you can actually use the depth of the crease. Sometimes players do not even realize how much they can go back. The more you go back to the spinner, the difficult it gets for a spinner. And then he starts tossing the ball up. The more you start committing yourself on the front foot, then all you can do is probably play with your hands. And you don't want to play with your hands because that's when the short leg, backward short legs comes into play. So don't commit yourself, wait, because you will always have time against the spinner, and then probably go as back as you can so that he starts tossing the ball up, and then you can use your feet. If you keep committing yourself on the front foot, you're actually playing in their hands, and they can actually keep bowling on that one spot. And that is what Nathan Lyon does. And that is how Cheteshwar Pujara actually got out, because he did commit himself on the front foot, and from there on, he couldn't just go back. He only had to defend. So probably try and either go fully forward to the pitch of the ball or go as deep as you can, because there is a lot of space going into that box. Batters do not realize that, because all we've now been learned on a flat wicket is to just go forward. But the more you go back, the easier it is to actually go forward.
That's a fantastic coaching kind of 1.5 minute manual. Gautam, from what I hear, it is going to be Mohammad Siraj. I don't know how much you've seen Mohammad Siraj in domestic cricket or in India A games, but a couple of our friends, for example, Deepdas Gupta tells me that he's a much better red ball bowler. When this is said, I mean, I really want to sort of understand for myself also. When you say someone's a better red ball bowler, a Mohammad Siraj, your thoughts on Siraj and how do you qualify that he's a better red ball bowler? So and would you give him a debut from whatever you have seen of Mohammad Siraj?
See, first of all, whenever Mohammad Siraj has played for India, he's played most of the time a T20 format, which is always difficult for any fast bowler, and that also in India because, see, it's hard because batters are looking to come at the bowler and they're looking to attack the bowler. In one-day cricket, it's a little different, but in Test cricket, you can actually bowl those line and lengths. You can be a little bit more probably aggressive. You can bowl those attacking lengths. Again, it really depends how both Navdeep Saini or Mohammad Siraj is actually bowling in the nets as well and who's bowling better. Again, I'm not going to see, he's done reasonably well. That's why he's been picked in Test cricket, and Virat Kohli must have seen a lot because he plays for RCB. And then whether it's his lengths or whether, because see, Mohammad Siraj and Umesh Yadav are very similar bowlers. And then you've got Jasprit Bumrah. So do you want actually two very similar bowlers, or you want someone like Navdeep Saini who can actually bowl that 145 plus and he's got high arm action, whether you want something like someone like him. So it really depends on the conditions. I hope he's making his debut. He does really well, and he bowls those aggressive lengths. He looks, because you can't actually, with the kind of pace Mohammad Siraj has, you should not be looking to bowl short. You should be looking to make the batters drive. And if you see the Australian batters as well, they don't look to come forward too much. You see the first inning dismissals of all the batters, whether it was Joe Burns, Steve Smith, whether it was Marnus Labuschagne, all those guys, Tim Paine, they always look to stay back. There's not a long strike forward, so try and pitch the ball up and make them drive. Even if you go for runs, you got to get the slips in the play as well, and that is what probably Australians did against Indians in the second innings. They knew that obviously Indians were sitting back on the back foot, so probably that is what the team management would be telling Siraj, to bowl his natural line and length, that is to look to swing the ball.
Few more questions before I let you go. I know it's Christmas Day, Gautam, and you've got to. I've earned my extra 5 minutes because you don't have to shave today, so that gives me my extra 5 minutes. But coming back, you mentioned the fragility in the Australian batting order as well. From what we've seen on evidence in the first test, do you think that India can still exploit that despite the fact that Australia will be mentally on a high? From what you've seen, are you hopeful that India can still exploit that fragility, especially at the top of the order with no Warner?
See, I'm a very positive guy, and I will always expect India to bounce back, even if India would have been 3-0 in this series. And that, because it's a great honor when you're playing for your country and you want to give everything possible. You never know whether you will ever be able to play the next test match or not. So stay in the moment. And yes, India's got when you've got people like Jasprit Bumrah who are world class, when you've got people like Ravichandran Ashwin, and you've got Umesh Yadav who's played more than 35-40 test matches. So you'd expect Indian bowling lineup to actually come good. It's about the batters to put runs on the board, and don't think about putting 400 on the board. Look to get 275 and give something for your bowlers, because when you've got these kind of world-class bowlers, 275 is good enough. And with the kind of batting lineup Australia have, they're very vulnerable at the top of the order. They're very fragile. Apart from Labuschagne and Smith, Travis Head is very vulnerable. Cameron Green will be playing his second test match. Tim Paine, yes, he's done well in the previous game, but then he has his own shortcomings as well. And then you are into the bowlers. So apart from two batters, number 3 and number 4, there is a lot of vulnerability. So India can actually look to exploit that. And you've got someone like Jasprit Bumrah who can actually win your game in his 5-over spell as well. Other bowlers needs to complement these guys. They don't need to leak runs. So every bowler needs to have a plan. It's not about just going out and bowling and looking to take wickets from both the ends. It's about helping each other and getting into the spell and trying and make sure that you don't actually open up the game so quickly. You've got a world-class spinner. Like when you spoke about Nathan Lyon, you've got Ashwin, a world-class spinner as well, who's going to bowl 25 overs from one end. So other seamers needs to complement each other and probably try and be consistent and try and be patient as well, which is very important, because there will be opportunities. This is not the batting lineup which was there probably a couple of years back, Langer, Hayden, Gilchrist, Ricky Ponting. This is not of that class. So India will always have that opportunity to bounce back.
Gautam, just one more on Shubman Gill. When he opens, I'm pretty sure there'll be some words. The occasion is Boxing Day. there will be 30,000. So that's also a reasonable crowd. I mean, you've played cricket without crowds for a while. So the occasion is massive. And when there will be some chirp, as an opening batsman, how do you cut off all of that? And sort of only it's you and the bowler and the ball. Mentally, how do you make that adjustment? So when Shubman opens the batting?
See, occasions do not matter. There's a contest between the bat and the ball, and that remains the same whether you're playing for your club, whether you're playing for your state, whether you're playing for your country. I know it's easier said than done, but that is how a professional athlete or a professional sportsman needs to train. You can't change your mindset with occasion. A lot of people have asked me this question: what was my mindset when I was playing the World Cup final? I said exactly the same when I was playing for my club or when I was playing for my state, because the contest remains the same. Yes, the only difference is that Lasith Malinga was bowling at the other end, and someone else probably would have been bowling when I was playing first class cricket. But ultimately, it's a contest between a bat and a ball, and I would look to win that contest. Try and win each and every contest which comes your way. And if you keep it that simple, if you keep it stay in that moment, you'll be successful, no doubt about it. But if you start thinking about the occasion, oh, Pat Cummins is bowling, Mitchell Stark is bowling, ultimately it's the ball that's coming to you. Half volley is a half volley. All I want Indian batsmen to do is to look to score runs, not to survive. The moment you look
that was my next question. The foot movement, or the way we approached the innings, we did not look to really enforce or score runs. So your thoughts on even Ajju, I mean, the way he got out both innings, feet rooted to the crease. Your thoughts on that? I mean, about footwork and about being positive and showing intent with the footwork. The coaching staff, every one of them have been there, done that for years. And they're not there to teach people how to bat and bowl. They know how to bat and bowl. This is the time for a Ravi Shastri to also make a difference. This is the time for an R. Sridhar to ensure that you don't drop 6 catches in a game. So your thoughts on that?
See, I don't want to disregard anyone, and I don't want to, I've always been a believer, and I can talk about myself as an opening batsman, that cricket is not about seeing off the ball or seeing off the new ball and stuff. It's all about looking to score runs. And if you're looking to score runs, you become positive. Your footwork becomes positive. Your back left starts getting higher. When people talk about, the opener's job is to see off the new ball, absolutely not. Everyone's job is to look to score runs. You're there to score runs. You're not there to see off the new ball. That's not my job. That is not why I played cricket. I played cricket to score hundreds. I don't look to survive. Whether it is Cheteshwar Pujara, it's okay. You've played 160 balls, but your first intent should be 4, 3, 2, 1. It can't be 0, 1, 2, and 3, because if your intent is to block, you can't hit a half volley. But if your intent is to look to score boundary of each delivery, I'm talking about the intent. I'm not saying that you've got to score boundary of each and every delivery, but if your intent is to look to score runs and be positive, you see how forward you go and how back you go. But if you're just looking to survive, your back left becomes short, your foot movements become short. So everyone, whether it's the first ball of the game or the last ball of the game, you got to look to score runs, whether it's Mayank, whether you've got 3 ducks in the previous game, whether you've got 300s in the previous game. All you need to do as a batter is watch the ball and react and look to score runs, and everything will be fine. Because whether it is Pat Cummins or Dale Steyn, or whether the best bowler in the world of Glenn McGrath, everyone has bowled a half volley. It's just a batter's mindset whether he can cash onto that half volley or not. It depends on the batter. And if there's a short ball, look to hit. And if you want to hit it hard. Don't just poke at it. You got to give everything. See, I've always believed when you fail on your own terms. You don't fail on what people have told you from outside. Oh, you know what, see off this new ball, see off this period. No. If you think that you can actually dominate that period, go out there and do it. As simple as it gets. And even if you fail, you come back in your room and you're a content man. You say that, yes, this is what I decided. Yes, it didn't come off, fair enough, but this is how I wanted to play. As simple as Ravi Shastri, whether all the support staff, whether the bowlers, bowling coach, Ravi Shastri, all those guys, when you go into the nets during the practice sessions, just tell them one thing. Every ball look to score runs. As simple as it gets. That's the mantra when you win against top teams, and that is the mantra for the next 3 test matches.
Incredible. Last couple before I let you go, Gautam. One, I've been a little disappointed with the catching all season. What do you think is going wrong? You were fielding close in. I remember, a lot of your games. And this is a professional team which till last year we were saying is one of the best fielding sides in the world. And there have been some basic drops. So thoughts on that?
See, I was commentating, I was doing a thing for Cricinfo when the T20 series and the one-day series started. And initially, we thought during the one-day series, it could be the concentration thing, because obviously when you played a lot of T20 cricket and go into the 50 over format, it just looks very longer and the concentration levels are not there. But now it is about confidence. It started with concentration, and it's contagious as well. That once someone starts dropping and it goes to the other one and it starts going to the third one, and when you drop so many catches, then it becomes a confidence level as well. The more you catch, the better it gets. Yes, you can get a beauty of a ball, you can have a bad spell, but then there are no excuses for dropping catches, because that is something which you can actually control. Sometimes you can't control a gem of a delivery because bowler is there to get you out, and sometimes you can't control a bad spell because batter is looking to dominate you. But catching can't be an excuse, because ultimately it's about the confidence thing. And to win test matches, you've got to be able to take catches and those half chances as well, which probably India missed out in the previous test match. And that is why probably Australia could come back into the test match. Had India got that 100 or 110 runs lead, probably it would have been difficult for Australia even to chase 150 on that track with the kind of bowling India had. So the more catches you take in the practice sessions, the better it gets.
Gautam, the last one, I mean, a lot of fans have already written off and dejected because it's 36 all out and no Virat Kohli. One person is not making this Indian team, whether it is Gautam, whether it is Sachin, whether it is Virat. The rest of the 11 have made this team and wearing that white because they are good cricketers. So that's why they're there. Is it their moment under the sun? Your thoughts that people have already written you off, etc., etc. We started with the fight. Do you believe that this Indian team has it in them to make a match of Boxing Day?
I absolutely believe that India has the caliber to bounce back. And again, you were spot on when you said that it's not about Virat. This is not Virat Kohli's Indian team. This is an Indian team made of different individuals. And it is time for people like Cheteshwar Pujara. It is time for people like Ajinkya Rahane. It is time for people like Ravichandran Ashwin to step up and show their leadership quality. Leadership is not only about going out there and captaining the side. Captaining the side is much easier than leading the side. People say that a captain is a leader. No, a captain is different and a leader is different. Show your leadership skill and try and show that, yes, you can bounce back. It is not about one or two individuals in this team. So it is a great opportunity for the rest of the 3 test matches for someone like Cheteshwar Pujara to put his hand up and say, yes, I have my way of playing cricket. This is how I bat. And with this kind of a batting, I can still lead this side. I'm not captaining the side in a way. I'm not saying he's going to captain the side, but I can lead the side, lead this batting lineup. Ajinkya Rahane, again, has a great opportunity. He's been there for so many years. He's played, more than 65, 70 test matches. Fabulous opportunity. Ravichandran Ashwin, who's been in and out, who's always got a very raw deal, according to me. But then great opportunity that to showcase people that, yes, we can bounce back. So it is not about one or two individuals. So I feel I'm very excited about it. I think I'm sure these guys will be even more excited about it, because they should be looking from that opportunity point of view and show the entire country that, yes, we can bounce back and we will bounce back. And I have no doubts if they play to their potential, they will bounce back. But all they need to do is have a positive mindset and tell themselves that they're good enough and they've got the bowling lineup to rattle Australia, which is anyways a very, very vulnerable batting lineup.
Great words. I mean, and I will echo what Gautam said. I'm mighty excited. So Boxing Day test match is a once in a lifetime. This is where legacies are scripted, tales are made. Mortality turns into immortality. Think of Shubman Gill getting 100, Pujara getting 100 again, like 2018. This is where you step up and you say, I will make it count. And I'm sure this Indian team will give it their all. Gautam Gambhir spoke about captaincy and leadership. Ajinkya might be captain, but there's a bigger leadership group, and everyone in that leadership group has to take responsibility, because this opportunity will not come back again. No Virat Kohli. So you are not under anyone's shadow. Go out there, make it count. And that's what we expect on Christmas Day from our boys as they turn up in Melbourne tomorrow. Gautam, such a pleasure as always to talk to you. You are an absolute gem to talk to. Thank you very much for your time. Merry Christmas to you and the family. Hopefully, when you and I talk again in 21, it's gradually getting a better world. Every single day science wins, and we will gradually get back to somewhat better. And then sooner than later, I should be able to come to your house or you in Delhi and meet up.